Though Hollywood's recovery continues, 2021 certainly hasn't left film fans wanting for quality cinema so far. From balmy comedies to kaleidoscopic horror films, ridiculous action flicks to Oscar-winning dramas and everything else in between, we have been spoiled for choice, but which have been the best so far? I'm Josh from WhatCulture.com, and these are the 20 best movies of 2021 so far. Number 20, Army of the Dead. There have been a lot of big, dumb action movies this year. I mean, Godzilla vs. Kong just missed off this list, so consider this an honourable mention for that as well. But Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead might just be the biggest and dumbest and also best. A return to form after a stint in superhero movies, Snyder taps into the seemingly unlimited resources and freedom that comes with working with Netflix to deliver this balls-to-the-wall zombie heist movie. With a stellar ensemble cast, Tig Notaro being a particular highlight, which is crazy considering that she wasn't even originally in the movie, Army of the Dead brings the action and charm, even if it does take itself a bit too seriously at times, and of course, is way longer than it needs to be. Number 19, Nobody. The success of John Wick is sure to result in numerous actors getting their own slick, badass assassin vehicles, but did anyone expect Better Call Saul star Bob Odenkirk to end up leading one? Odenkirk is nevertheless perfectly cast as a former CIA assassin, now eking out a quiet, mediocre life with his family until his cover is blown and he's forced to dust off his special set of skills. While it doesn't have too much to offer in the story stakes, Nobody is all about the action, and delivers creatively brutal set pieces in spades. Odenkirk ingeniously exploits his unassuming exterior, but also clearly invested the time necessary to convince as a one-man wrecking crew. If you're craving lean, efficient action thrills, then you can't do much better than this 92-minute flick. Number 18, Oxygen. Alexandra Aja returns with this ludicrously entertaining one-woman show in which Elizabeth awakens inside a cryogenic medical pod with no memory of how she got there and must find a way out before she runs out of oxygen, hence the title. Making a movie with only one major on-screen character is extremely difficult, in fact made all the more challenging by the ultra-confined setting, requiring the director to get creative with how he portrays Elizabeth's claustrophobic predicament. It might try a little too hard to get one over on audiences later on in the story, but if you're willing to surrender yourself to this balmy thrill ride, then there's a lot to enjoy here. Number 17, The Courier. A classy, nimbly crafted, good old-fashioned historical spy film, The Courier isn't a mile-a-minute thrill fest, but it's a consistently compelling espionage flick topped by one of Benedict Cumberbatch's strongest performances. With its uncommon restraint and deference towards historical fact over frothy revisionism, Dominic Cooke's film is exactly the sort of tight professional thriller that we just don't see enough of these days. Again, it's not the most exciting film in the world, but dads everywhere will absolutely love it, trust me. Number 16, A Quiet Place Part 2. A Quiet Place Part 2 may lack a little of the original's conceptual freshness, but it's still an impressively taut, skillfully directed horror thriller. It's a relatively by-the-book script, elevated considerably by strong work from Millicent Simmons and Cillian Murphy. It's not too much of a spoiler to say that this is very clearly the middle entry in a trilogy, and concludes with a threequel setup at the end, but contained within its snappy runtime is an elegant slice of genre fare and one well worth watching on the big screen if you're able to and of course comfortable with it. Number 15, I Care a Lot. After treading water for many years following the success of 2014's Gone Girl, Rosamund Pike is back with another killer performance in Jay Blakeson's surprisingly strong black comedy, I Care a Lot. As a court-appointed legal guardian who uses her government-sponsored powers to defraud the elderly and infirm out of their homes and money, Pike is exceptionally well cast. Though slick and cutesy, there's a very real critique of society's treatment of the elderly at the film's core as well. Best embodied by the primary object of Grayson's scheme, a surprisingly spiky woman played with tremendous relish by Diane Wyest. For a good time, you could do much, much worse. Number 14, The Mauritanian. Though it didn't quite live up to all of the pre-release awards hype, Kevin McDonald's new legal drama The Mauritanian was nothing if not an exemplary acting showcase for Jodie Foster and Tahar Rahim. Rahim is astoundingly good in his portrayal of Mahamadou Ould Slahi, a Mauritanian man who was held in Guantanamo Bay for 14 years without charge for alleged terrorism offences. As his hotshot no bullcrap lawyer Nancy Hollander, Foster is almost equally terrific, manning the righteous outrage of Slahi's case for every dramatic drop it's worth. Much like The Courier, The Mauritanian is a laudably pared-down drama which doesn't feel the need to constantly ham up the true story, deciding instead to paint a compelling picture of Slahi as a man who stood firm against horrifying indignity. Number 13, In the Earth. Filmed over the course of just 15 days last summer in the height of the pandemic, Ben Wheatley's new horror film In the Earth has obvious parallels with the present global situation, but steers it in a unique enough direction to not feel like an exploitative cash-in. In a world where a deadly virus has wiped out most of the population, a scientist journeys through a forest to reach a research site, though finds far more than he bargained for in said forest. This is definitely a film best seen with as little knowledge as possible, because Wheatley darts around in so many unexpected and exciting directions that even watching the trailer will probably clue you in too much. Know simply that it's Wheatley's most persuasive film project in years, arguably since his 2011 Barn Burner Kill List, aided by the efforts of a skilled cast, gorgeous cinematography, and disorientating sound design. Number 12, Pieces of a Woman. Pieces of a Woman is certainly a film to test its audience's resolve, but Vanessa Kirby's Oscar-nominated performance is strong enough to make the gut-wrenching ride worthwhile. Beginning with a 24-minute single-take sequence showing protagonist Martha delivering a stillborn baby, this isn't an easy film to watch by any means, but as a generally affecting portrayal of grief, it fully justifies its no-holds-barred approach. The 128-minute runtime is perhaps a little much, and there's some wildly unnecessary symbolism thrown into the mix for good measure, but as a straightforward character piece, it is sublime. Number 11, Raya and the Last Dragon. Though it doesn't quite reach classic status in the pantheon of Disney animation, Raya and the Last Dragon is another visually stunning effort buffed by its slick action, excellent vocal performances, and memorable characters. While not straying far from the well-regimented formula of the modern-day Disney animated film, it's got a great, optimistic message about trust and unity while adding yet another appealing Disney princess to the company's ever-diversifying lineup. With a stronger script, it certainly had the potential to be an all-timer Disney joint, so we'll have to settle for pretty damn good instead. Fingers crossed this one ends up with a sequel. Number 10, The White Tiger. Ramin Bahrani's The White Tiger, which saw Bahrani receive a Best Adapted Screenplay Oscar nomination, dawningly adapts a 2008 novel of the same name to the big screen with tremendous skill. Chronicling the life and times of Balram, from an unassuming life as a poor Indian villager to ruthless entrepreneur, The White Tiger is a darkly comedic satire of both India's social structure and late-stage capitalism as a whole. Lead actor Adarsh Gourav should have been in the Best Actor Oscar conversation, and is a revelation as Balram, portraying a man frayed at the seams by his increasingly abject predicament. True to form, writer-director Bahrani never loses sight of his character's humanity, even in the funniest and grimmest of circumstances, delivering his most populist dramatic work in the process. Number 9, In the Heights. John M. Chu's adaptation of Lin-Manuel Miranda's Tony-winning musical is as vibrant and full of life as films get. If you can forgive the slightly overbaked 143-minute runtime, In the Heights is an absolute riot and an examination of the ups and downs of the American dream and what the age term even means in the modern day. The performances, particularly from Anthony Ramos, Leslie Grace, Melissa Barrera, and Corey Hawkins, are pure knockouts, while Chu makes the most of the cinematic medium to deliver creative reinterpretations of the musical's most beloved tracks. Number 8, The Killing of Two Lovers. Perhaps the best movie released this year that basically nobody is talking about, the mesmerizing The Killing of Two Lovers follows David, a rage-filled man struggling to accept estrangement from his wife and 4 children. Per its imposing title, this film is filled with anxious tension throughout its tight 84-minute runtime, as a picture is painted of a man teetering on the precipice of explosive violent anger while his life crumbles around him. Clayne Crawford is superb as David, a complex and beguiling figure who conveys both the dangers of toxic masculinity and the fact that things are not always as black and white as they seem. Aided by beautiful full 3 cinematography and unexpectedly unique sound design, this'll stick with you for quite some time. Number 7, Luca. Pixar's Luca is one of the most charming, heartwarming, and effective movies of the year. About the eponymous Luca, a fish monster living a quiet, secluded life with his family in the ocean, he meets up with Alberto, who shows him the wonders of life above the surface. Set in mid-20th century Porto Rosso, the look, feel, and vibe of the movie is absolutely splendid, brought to life by some of the most stunning animation the famed company has delivered yet. Like seriously, at some points this turned me into my dad when he used to watch me play Xbox 360 games, mumbling things like, "Oh, look at the graphics on that," or "Whoa, get a load of that picture" out loud. It is just that sublime. Of course, it's the character and humor that makes the flick so special though, as well as the pure imagination that's poured into it. Pixar have absolutely nailed it again, to put it simply, and hopefully you'll be sobbing through the final moments just like I was. In a good way, of course. Number 6, Shiva Baby. A 78-minute panic attack, Shiva Baby focuses entirely on one scenario. What would happen if you bumped into your sugar daddy at a family member's Shiva? This is the fate that befalls lead character Danielle, who's under pressure from pretty much all sides. How does she keep this side of herself away from her parents' watchful eyes? How does she navigate the rest of her demanding extended family? And how can she reconnect with an ex-girlfriend that she still has feelings for? With exceptional performances across the board and a touching, at times hilarious script, Shiva Baby is totally unique and a great love letter to the kind of multitudes that make up a single person. Number 5, The Mitchells vs. the Machines. A strong contender in the race for next year's Best Animated Film Oscar, The Mitchells vs. the Machines is a freaking delightful animation from Always Solid producers Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. Centered around the titular dysfunctional family as they attempt to save the world from a global robot uprising, this is an insanely energetic, visually stunning, consistently hilarious adventure comedy. Feel good without ever getting too sentimental, and somehow peppy as hell without ever being annoying about it, The Mitchells vs. the Machines is an animated film sure to be enjoyed near equally by youngsters and adults. A witty, affecting crowd pleaser with intelligence and artistry emerging from its every pore. Also, a particular shout out to Olivia Colman, who is hilarious as the villainous virtual assistant pal. Number 4, Judas and the Black Messiah. A stunning, infuriating history lesson and transfixing actor showcase, Judas and the Black Messiah rightly won Daniel Kaluuya the Best Supporting Actor Oscar for his peerless performance as Fred Hampton, the chairman of the Black Panther Party's Illinois chapter in the late 1960s. Captured through the lens of FBI informant Bill O'Neill, played by a brilliant Oscar-nominated Lakeith Stanfield, director Shaka King delivers one of cinema's all-time great undercover crime thrillers here, and one elevated by the soul-searing tragedy of its real-life inspiration. Exquisitely crafted in its every moment, tenaciously acted by its entire ensemble, also including Jesse Plemons as FBI agent Roy Mitchell, and nerve-shreddingly tense whether you know the real story or not, this is top-level filmmaking in every regard. Number 3, Quo Vadis Ada. Perhaps the most purely underappreciated film of 2021, Quo Vadis Ada needs to be seen. This devastating war drama depicts the 1995 Srebrenica massacre, which resulted in the systematic genocide of more than 8,000 Bosniak Muslim men and boys during the Bosnian War at the hands of the Serbian army. Free of melodrama while tightly focused on a UN translator, Ada, as she desperately tries to get her husband and sons to safety, this is a grippingly tense quasi-thriller which pulls no punches whatsoever with its harrowing account of the horrors war inflicts upon people simply trying to live. It sure isn't pleasant viewing, but an absorbing, expertly assembled slice of underreported history all the same. Number 2, Bo Burnham Inside. Though the online debate continues to rage about whether or not Bo Burnham's pandemic-era performance piece Inside is truly a film or not, there is a little denying it's the strongest piece of in-quarantine art produced yet. Filmed at Burnham's home without the assistance of a crew or the presence of an audience, the film, and yes, it is a film alright, melds stand-up comedy with narrative monologues, songs, documentary, and meta-commentary to deliver one of the most brilliantly bewildering creative feats of the year. Burnham's relatable anxieties about the mental toll of the pandemic is one thing, but Inside isn't a mere exercise in miserableism. Humanity leaks from its every pore. It's so easy to get pandemic art wrong, and even easier for well-off celebrities to fail to connect with the real plight of normal people. But Inside is insanely relatable and poignant, and at least to me, a vitally powerful piece to help process everything that we've been through and continue to go through. As a testament to what a sufficiently creative person can do if left on their own with a few cameras, lights, musical instruments, and a laptop, Inside isn't just genius, it's downright inspiring. Number 1, The Father. Anthony Hopkins' Best Actor Oscar win may have been mired in unfortunate controversy, by no fault of the man himself of course, but there's no arguing with the worthiness of his haunting all-timer performance in The Father. As a man struggling with fast-progressing dementia, Hopkins has somehow never been better, rendering a fully drawn character in all of his tragedy, bitterness, and occasional charm. Adapting his own acclaimed play to the screen, director Florian Zeller toys with the cinematic form in some clever and creative ways to repeatedly throw viewers off and allow them to enter the headspace of a man to whom reality is becoming incoherent. It sure isn't pleasant viewing, but Hopkins' performance in particular is destined to endure as one of cinema's eternal greats. So that's our list. Want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. These are the 20 best movies of the year so far in our opinion, but do you agree with it? And are there any good ones that we've left off here? And more importantly, which ones are you looking forward to in the second half of the year? I know, Dune's gonna be good, isn't it? Anyway, while you're down there, could you please give us a like, share, subscribe, and head over to whatculture.com for more lists and news like this every single day. Even if you don't though, I've been Josh, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.